Have you ever stood on the edge of a choice, a precipice of the heart, where one path led to a calm, sunlit shore and the other led back into the storm you just escaped? And in the deafening silence of your own soul, you chose the storm. Not because you didn't know any better, but because the thunder felt more like home than the silence. What if I told you that this pull, this magnetic, often devastating attraction to what breaks you, isn't a flaw in your character, but a coded message from your soul? What if the very energy that draws you to the pain is the key to your most profound liberation? Stay with me, because we are about to unlock the energetic truth of why you chase what hurts you. And in that truth, you will find the power to finally choose the sun. The old bookstore smelled of decaying paper and forgotten magic, a scent Cale had always associated with safety. He ran his fingers over the cracked spines of leather-bound books, the gold leaf titles faded into whispers of forgotten worlds. Here, amidst the quiet dust motes dancing in the slanted afternoon light, he could almost forget the gnawing emptiness, the familiar ache that had become the baseline rhythm of his existence. He was a man who understood energy. As an architect, he designed spaces that flowed, that held and nurtured the people within them. He could feel the energetic blueprint of a building, sense the history imprinted in its walls, the joy and sorrow it had witnessed. Yet the architecture of his own heart was a labyrinth he couldn't seem to map, a space he repeatedly filled with the one energy he claimed to despise: chaos. Her name was Alara, and she was a masterpiece of beautiful, exquisite chaos. When she walked into a room, she didn't just enter, she was an event, a sudden shift in atmospheric pressure. Her laughter was like wind chimes in a hurricane, beautiful but signaling an impending storm. Her eyes, a shade of amber that seemed to hold the secrets of ancient fires, saw him in a way no one else had. She saw his strength, his quiet spirit, his deep well of kindness. But she also saw the cracks in his foundation, the hairline fractures in his self-worth, and it was there, in those broken places, that she seemed to pour all her attention. Their connection was electric, a current that jolted him out of his quiet solitude and into a world of vibrant, terrifying life. It was a high he had never known, a soul-level recognition that felt like destiny. But it was also a slow-motion demolition. Alara's love was a conditional tide, pulling him close with breathtaking intimacy one moment, then receding into a cold, distant sea the next, leaving him stranded on the shores of his own insecurity. She would praise his vision for a new sustainable community center, calling him a genius, her voice wrapped in awe. Then days later, when he was buzzing with excitement to share a breakthrough, she would dismiss it with a wave of her hand, her attention captured by some fleeting new interest, leaving him feeling foolish and small. She would speak of their sacred connection, of past lives and soul contracts, and in those moments, Cale felt seen on a cosmic scale. But that same sacred connection didn't seem to prevent her from disappearing for days, only to return with a vague story and an enchanting smile that made him forget his questions, forget his own pain, and only remember his desperate need for her. He was chasing her constantly, chasing her validation, her presence, her love. And every time he caught it, it was like holding a fistful of water. The more he squeezed, the faster it slipped through his fingers. His friends saw it. His sister Maya, a yoga instructor with a spirit as grounded as the earth she walked on, saw it most clearly. "Cale," she'd said just last week, her voice gentle but firm, "you're an architect. You build things that last. Why are you trying to build a home on a fault line?" He had no answer for her. Or rather, the answer was buried so deep beneath layers of energetic entanglement and spiritual bypassing that he couldn't articulate it. He told himself it was a spiritual growth journey, that this intense, painful dynamic was a catalyst for his awakening. He was learning about unconditional love, about detachment, about the ego. He had all the spiritual labels for his suffering, but labels didn't stop the bleeding. Why did he stay? Why, when the door was wide open, did he keep walking back into the burning building? This was the question that haunted him in the quiet hours of the night, after the fire of their latest reunion had cooled into the familiar ashes of anxiety. He knew he deserved a love that was a sanctuary, not a battlefield. He knew his worth intellectually. But his energy, the silent, powerful current flowing beneath the surface of his thoughts, told a different story. It was this energy that held him captive, that kept him tethered to Alara. It was a low, humming frequency of unworthiness, a deeply ingrained belief that love had to be earned, that it had to be fought for, that the only love available to him was the kind that had to be chased. This is the core of our exploration today, this hidden energetic truth. Why do we, like Kale, who are so often spiritually aware, conscious, and full of love, find ourselves magnetically drawn to people and situations that cause us pain? It's a pattern that can feel like a curse, a relentless cycle of hope and heartbreak that chips away at our very soul. We are going to delve into the spiritual psychology of this chase, not from a place of judgment, but from a place of profound compassion and curiosity. This isn't about blaming yourself. This is about empowering yourself with a deeper understanding of the unseen forces at play. We will uncover the energetic imprints from our past, the unhealed wounds that broadcast a silent signal into the universe, calling in the very experiences we long to avoid. We will explore the seductive dance of the divine masculine and feminine energies when they are wounded, and how they create a powerful, addictive push and pull dynamic. And most importantly, we will illuminate the path out of this labyrinth, a path of healing through awareness, of emotional alchemy that transforms your deepest pain into your greatest power. This is about reclaiming your energy, rewriting your energetic signature, and finally aligning with the soul-level love that is your birthright. The kind of love that doesn't need to be chased, because it recognizes you as home. Let's first address the most fundamental layer of this phenomenon, the energetic imprint of unworthiness. Think of your energy field, your aura, as a garden. What you plant in it is what will grow. From a very young age, seeds are planted in this garden by our experiences, our family dynamics, and our societal conditioning. For many of us, seeds of unworthiness are planted early on. Perhaps it was a parent who was emotionally unavailable, and as a child, you subconsciously concluded, I must not be worthy of their consistent love and attention. Or maybe it was a teacher who criticized you, or a peer group that excluded you, planting a seed of I am not good enough. These experiences, these moments of perceived rejection or abandonment, create dense, low-frequency energy patterns in our system. They are not just memories stored in the brain. They are energetic imprints held in the very cells of our bodies. For Kale, this imprint ran deep. His father was a brilliant but emotionally volatile man, a musician who was either showering Kale with effusive praise or disappearing into a brooding silence for weeks on end. Kale's young heart learned a powerful, damaging equation. Love is unpredictable, and to receive it, I must be exceptionally good, exceptionally quiet, exceptionally understanding. He became a master at reading the emotional weather, at anticipating his father's needs, at making himself small so as not to trigger a storm. He learned that love was a reward for good behavior, not a constant, unconditional presence. This created an energetic blueprint within him that screamed, consistent, peaceful love is not for you. You must work for love, you must earn it, and you must be prepared for it to be taken away at any moment. Now the universe in its infinite intelligence is not punitive. It is a mirror. It doesn't give you what you want, it gives you what you are. Your energy field is a broadcasting station, sending out a signal 24/7. And Kale's energy field, despite his conscious desire for a peaceful, stable partnership, was broadcasting the frequency of his unhealed childhood wound. It was broadcasting, I am most comfortable in a dynamic where love is inconsistent. I understand the rhythm of chase and reward. I am skilled at navigating emotional volatility. Show me someone who will make me prove my worthiness over and over again. And the universe, in its perfect mirroring capacity, responded. It sent him Alara. Alara, with her intoxicating presence and her unpredictable affection, was the perfect energetic match for Kale's unhealed wound. She was the storm that felt like home. Her pattern of pulling him close and pushing him away was the exact rhythm his nervous system had been conditioned to recognize as love. On a conscious level, he was miserable. He hated the anxiety, the uncertainty, the feeling of walking on eggshells. But on an unconscious, energetic level, his system was saying, "Ah, yes. I know this dance. This is familiar. This is love." This is the first and most crucial truth to understand. You are not chasing what hurts you because you are broken or masochistic. You are chasing what is familiar to your energy field. Your soul is seeking healing, and it will draw to you the very people and situations that trigger your deepest wounds, not to punish you, but to give you an opportunity to finally see them, feel them, and heal them. Have you ever felt this in your own life? That pull towards someone you know on a logical level is not good for you. Does their emotional unavailability feel comfortable in a strange, unsettling way? Take a moment and sit with that. Don't judge it, just notice it. This awareness is the first step towards changing the pattern. You must see the energetic blueprint before you can begin to redraw it. The pain is not the problem. The pain is a messenger. It's a bright, flashing arrow pointing directly to the part of you that is yearning for your own love and attention. Alara wasn't Kale's problem. She was the manifestation of his problem. She was the mirror showing him the part of himself that still believed he was the little boy who had to earn his father's love. The practical application here, the first step in this journey of healing through awareness, is to become a compassionate observer of your own patterns. Instead of getting lost in the drama of the chase, take a step back and ask yourself, what does this feeling remind me of? When have I felt this sense of anxiety, of needing to prove myself before? Let the answers bubble up without judgment. Maybe it was a parent, a sibling, a childhood friend. The goal is not to blame them, but to understand the origin of the energetic pattern. Start a journal. Write down the dynamics of your current attraction and see if you can trace the emotional and energetic threads back to your past. This is not about reopening old wounds to wallow in them. This is about bringing the light of your adult consciousness to the scared, wounded parts of your inner child. It is the beginning of emotional alchemy, turning the lead of old pain into the gold of self-awareness. You cannot heal what you cannot see. So for now, your only task is to see. See the pattern, see the connection to your past, and hold it all with a radical sense of compassion for the journey that has brought you here. This is the sacred ground upon which all true transformation is built. Now we must descend deeper, into the realm of the divine masculine and feminine energies that exist within each of us, regardless of gender. When these energies are balanced and healthy, they create a beautiful inner harmony that is then reflected in our outer relationships. The healthy divine masculine is the energy of presence, stability, purpose, and safety. It is the sturdy container, the mountain that is unshakable. The healthy divine feminine is the energy of flow, creativity, intuition, and unconditional love. It is the wild, beautiful river that flows within the container of the masculine. When they are in sacred union within us, we feel whole, grounded, and open to love. We build a life that is both stable and expansive, purposeful and joyful. However, most of us are carrying wounded versions of these energies, shaped by our personal experiences and the collective consciousness. And it is the dance of these wounded energies that creates the addictive, painful push-pull dynamic that so many of us mistake for passionate love. Kale, for all his kindness and gentleness, was operating from a deeply wounded masculine. His container was cracked. Because his primary masculine role model, his father, was inconsistent and emotionally unsafe, Kale's inner masculine energy was underdeveloped. It was hesitant, unconfident, and constantly seeking validation from the outside. Instead of providing a strong, internal sense of safety and worth for his own inner feminine, it was constantly looking to a woman to tell him he was enough. His purpose became not his own architectural vision or his contribution to the world, but the impossible task of making an unpredictable woman happy so that he could finally feel secure. This is the core wound of the nice guy archetype, a man who outsources his sense of stability and worth to a woman, and in doing so, gives away his power. And who is the wounded masculine inevitably, magnetically drawn to? The wounded feminine. Alara was the embodiment of the wounded feminine energy in its chaotic, uncontained form. The wounded feminine is the river without banks, the storm without an eye. Because she doesn't trust the masculine to hold her, to provide a safe container, she is in constant motion. She is seductive, enchanting, and wild, but she is also terrified of true intimacy and vulnerability. True intimacy would require her to trust, to surrender, to be still, and her wounds have taught her that stillness is dangerous. Stillness means being seen, and being seen means being vulnerable to being hurt or abandoned. So she creates chaos. She pushes love away with drama, with unavailability, with criticism to test the masculine container. She is subconsciously asking, "Can you hold me? Are you strong enough for all of this? Will you abandon me like the others?" This creates a devastatingly addictive energetic loop. Kale's wounded masculine, desperate for validation, sees Alara's wild, chaotic feminine energy as a challenge, a quest. He thinks, if I can just love her enough, if I can just be patient enough, if I can just build the perfect container for her, she will finally calm down, she will finally choose me, and then I will know I am worthy. I will have tamed the storm. And Alara's wounded feminine, terrified of being abandoned, is drawn to Kale's gentle, accommodating nature. At first it feels safe, but soon his lack of a strong inner masculine container, his inability to set boundaries and hold his ground, triggers her deepest fears. His niceness feels weak to her wounded parts. It doesn't feel safe. So she creates more chaos to test him, to try and force him to rise into his healthy masculine power. She pushes him away, hoping he will stand firm and say, "No, I am here, I'm not going anywhere, and I will not tolerate this behavior." But instead he crumbles, he chases, he pleads, and in doing so he confirms her deepest fear that he is not a safe harbor, and so the cycle continues. He chases, she runs, they briefly connect in a moment of passion and false hope, and then she creates distance again. It is a dance of two souls, each mirroring the other's deepest wound, each desperately trying to get their needs met from a person who is incapable of meeting them. Do you recognize this dance? Perhaps you are the chaser, the one constantly trying to prove your worth, to build a container for a chaotic partner. Or perhaps you are the runner, the one who creates distance, who tests your partner, terrified of being truly seen. There is no judgment here. Both roles are born of pain. Both are a cry for healing. The key is to understand that you are not just attracted to a person. You are attracted to an energetic dynamic that gives you the opportunity to heal your own inner masculine-feminine imbalance. The intensity of the connection is not a measure of its health. It is often a measure of the intensity of the shared wounds. This is not soul-level love. This is wound-level attraction. It feels like home because it's the energetic home you grew up in. The application here is a profound act of self-healing. It is time to stop focusing on the other person and turn your attention inward, to the sacred union within yourself. If you are the chaser like Kale, your work is to cultivate your healthy divine masculine energy. This has nothing to do with being aggressive or dominant. It is about building a strong internal container of self-worth and purpose. It means defining your values and living by them, regardless of who approves. It means setting and holding firm boundaries, not as a way to control the other person, but as an act of self-love. For Kale, this would look like saying, Alara, I love you, but I will not be in a relationship where I am subjected to days of silence. If you need space, you need to communicate that. If you cannot, I cannot continue this. It would mean pouring his energy back into his own life, his passions, his work, not as a way to distract himself, but as a way to fill his own cup, to find his sense of purpose within himself. He needs to become the mountain for his own river. If you are the runner, the one who creates chaos, your work is to heal your wounded feminine. It is about learning to trust, to be still, to receive. It is about cultivating self-soothing practices that allow you to sit with your uncomfortable feelings instead of immediately creating external drama. It's about learning that your worth is not in your ability to enchant or captivate, but in your authentic being. It's about finding safety within your own body through practices like meditation, dance, or time in nature. You need to learn that your river is beautiful and worthy, even when it is calm and still. This inner work is the essence of what it means to prepare for a conscious relationship. A sacred connection is not about finding your other half. It is about two whole individuals who have cultivated a strong inner union of their own masculine and feminine energies, coming together to create something even more beautiful. Stop chasing the person. Stop running from the love you say you want. Turn inward and begin the sacred work of healing your own energetic foundation. When you build a strong, beautiful home within yourself, you will no longer feel the desperate need to build a home on a fault line. You will attract someone who has also done their inner work, someone whose healthy masculine provides a safe container for your flowing feminine, and whose healthy feminine nourishes and inspires your steadfast masculine. This is the energy of love that doesn't hurt. This is the beginning of soul-level love. Let's pause here. Let this sink in. The chase is not just about unworthiness. It's a deep archetypal dance of wounded energies, a powerful drama playing out on the stage of your life. And you are both the actor and the director. You have the power to rewrite the script. The next step in this rewriting process is a concept I call emotional alchemy. Alchemy, in its ancient form, was the process of turning base metals like lead into gold. Emotional alchemy is the spiritual practice of transforming your most difficult, painful emotions, the lead of your suffering, into the gold of wisdom, compassion, and power. It is the core of any true spiritual growth journey. For Kale and for so many of us, the default response to the pain of the chase is to numb it, to avoid it, or to spiritualize it away. When Alara would disappear, Kale would throw himself into his work, working 16-hour days to avoid the hollow ache in his chest. Or he would meditate not to be with his feelings, but to transcend them, to rise above the low vibrations of his anxiety and longing. He would tell himself, I'm practicing detachment, when in reality he was practicing avoidance. This is a crucial distinction. Healing through awareness does not mean ignoring your pain. It means turning towards it with a courageous and open heart. The energy of an emotion is simply that, energy. It is not good or bad. It is information. The anxiety, the obsession, the fear of abandonment that Kale felt, this was raw, potent energy. By avoiding it, he was not getting rid of it. He was simply stuffing it down where it continued to fester, draining his life force and, ironically, strengthening the very energetic pattern that was attracting the painful dynamic in the first place. The universe was sending him a clear signal through his emotions, and he was refusing to answer the call. Emotional alchemy is a three-step process: acknowledge, feel, and transmute. It is simple in its description, but it requires immense courage in its practice. The first step is to acknowledge. This means dropping the story and simply naming the raw sensation. When Kale feels that familiar panic rising in his chest after Alara cancels a date at the last minute, his mind immediately goes into a story. She doesn't care about me. She's with someone else. I did something wrong. I'm not important to her. This story only adds layers of mental suffering on top of the initial energetic sensation. To acknowledge, he must gently interrupt this mental spiral and say to himself, "Okay, I am feeling a strong sensation of panic in my chest. There is a tightness in my throat. My stomach is in a knot. I acknowledge this energy is present in my body right now." There is no judgment. There is no story. There is just a simple, honest acknowledgement of what is. The second and most challenging step is to feel. This is the heart of the alchemical process. Instead of running from the sensation, you turn towards it. You bring your full, loving awareness to the part of your body where the emotion is living. Kale would need to sit down, close his eyes, and breathe into the tightness in his chest. He wouldn't be trying to fix it or get rid of it. He would simply be with it, like holding a crying child. He would offer it his presence, his warmth, his breath. He might even place a hand on his heart and say, "It's okay. I'm here. I can feel you. I am not going to abandon you." In this moment, he is doing for himself what he so desperately wants Alara to do for him. He is offering himself a consistent, loving presence. He is reparenting the wounded part of himself that felt abandoned as a child. This is an act of profound self-love. It is the ultimate self-worth healing. When you can sit with your own deepest pain without flinching, without needing someone else to come and save you from it, you reclaim a tremendous amount of your power. The third step is to transmute. As you sit with the energy, as you breathe into it and offer it your loving presence, it will naturally begin to shift. Energy is meant to move. It is our resistance to it that keeps it stuck. By feeling it fully, you allow it to complete its cycle. The transmutation is not something you have to force. It is the natural consequence of your presence. The dense, contracted energy of fear begins to soften, to expand. Tears may come. This is a beautiful release of stagnant energy. A sense of peace may wash over you, or a new insight may arise. Kale, sitting with his panic, might suddenly have a flash of insight. "Wow, this feeling in my chest, this is the same feeling I used to have as a boy, waiting for my dad to come home, not knowing if he would be happy or angry." In that moment, he has disconnected the power of the emotion from Alara and reconnected it to its true source. This is liberation. The lead of his present-day panic has been transformed into the gold of self-understanding. I want you to try this. The next time you feel the pull of the chase, the anxiety of waiting for a text, the sting of a perceived rejection, don't immediately pick up your phone. Don't immediately distract yourself. Give yourself the gift of 5 minutes. Find a quiet space, close your eyes, acknowledge the sensation in your body. Breathe into it, feel it without the story, offer it your presence. Be the loving parent to your own wounded heart. This practice over time will fundamentally transform your energy. It will build your inner container, your healthy masculine presence. It will soothe your inner feminine, teaching her that she is safe and held, even in the midst of emotional storms. You will stop looking for a person to be your savior and realize that you have been the healer, the sage, the alchemist you've been searching for all along. This is how you transform your energy from a state of chasing to a state of attracting. When your inner landscape is one of peace and self-love, you will no longer be a vibrational match for chaos and inconsistency. You will become a magnet for the sacred connection your soul truly desires. As Kale began to tentatively practice this emotional alchemy, something inside him started to shift. It wasn't a dramatic, overnight change, but a quiet, subtle strengthening of his core. He stopped seeing his anxiety as a sign of his weakness and started seeing it as a call to presence. One evening, after Alara had canceled a weekend trip they had planned for weeks with a casual, dismissive text message, The old wave of panic and despair washed over him. His first instinct was to call her, to demand an explanation, to fall back into the familiar role of the chaser. But this time, he stopped. He put his phone down. He walked into his living room, the one he had so carefully designed to be a sanctuary of peace, and he sat. He closed his eyes and breathed into the familiar crushing weight in his chest. He acknowledged the story that was screaming in his head. You see, you're not important, you're disposable. He let the story be there, but he didn't grab onto it. Instead, he dropped his awareness deeper into the raw energy of the feeling itself. It felt like a black hole, a void of immense grief and loneliness. And for the first time, he didn't run from it. He breathed into the void. He let himself feel the full depth of the little boy inside him who felt utterly alone. Tears streamed down his face, not tears of self-pity, but tears of release. He was grieving for the love he never received from his father, and grieving for the love he had been withholding from himself for so many years. He sat there for what felt like an hour, simply holding space for his own pain. He became his own sanctuary. When the storm of emotion passed, something new was in its place. Not happiness, not exactly, but a quiet stillness, a sense of inner peace and power. And in that stillness, a new thought arose, clear and calm as a bell. I don't want to feel this way anymore, and I don't have to. It wasn't an angry ultimatum. It was a simple, profound statement of truth. He had survived the feeling on his own. He hadn't needed Alara to come back and rescue him from it. He had rescued himself. The black hole was not bottomless. He had found the bottom, and it was solid ground. It was him. This is the moment of awakening. This is the pivot point where the entire dynamic of the chase begins to collapse, not because you are pushing the other person away, but because you have finally, fully, come home to yourself. You stop chasing them because you are no longer running from yourself. Your energy signature begins to change. The frequency of desperation and neediness is replaced by a frequency of self-possession and inner peace. And this change in your energetic broadcast will inevitably change what you attract. This leads us to the practical application of setting energetic boundaries. Many of us think of boundaries as walls we build to keep people out. But in the context of spiritual psychology, a boundary is not a wall. It is a clear definition of the energy you are available for. It is a loving act of self-worth that communicates to the universe. This is the kind of love and respect I am open to receiving. When you set a boundary, you are not trying to control the other person's behavior. You are simply choosing your own. After his breakthrough, Kale knew what he had to do. He didn't text Alara in anger. He waited until he felt completely centered in his newfound stillness. The next day he called her. His voice was calm, not accusatory. Alara, he began, I was really hurt and disappointed when you canceled our trip with a text message. It made me feel like I don't matter to you. He was using I statements, owning his feelings without blaming her. This is a key part of healthy communication. He then set his boundary. I need to be in a relationship where there is clear and respectful communication, and where commitments are honored. I am no longer available for last-minute cancellations and periods of silence. I need consistency and reliability to feel safe. Notice what he didn't do. He didn't say, you have to change. He didn't give her an ultimatum. He simply stated his needs and defined the energy he was available for. He was putting the choice in her hands. She could choose to meet him in that new energetic space, or she could choose not to. But either way, he was going to honor his own need for peace and respect. He had detached his well-being from her choice. This is true energetic sovereignty. Alara's reaction was predictable for someone operating from the wounded feminine. She became defensive. She accused him of being controlling, of trying to dim her spontaneous spirit. She tried to pull him back into the old dance of chaos and drama. But Kale, for the first time, didn't take the bait. He didn't argue. He didn't defend himself. He just listened, and then he calmly repeated his truth. I hear you. This is not about controlling you. This is about honoring what I need to feel safe and respected in a relationship. I can't continue in the dynamic we've had. He was the mountain, calm, solid, unshakable. He was holding the healthy masculine container, not just for her, but for himself. This is your work now. Look at the relationship that is causing you pain. Where are your boundaries being crossed? Where are you tolerating behavior that makes you feel anxious, disrespected, or small? And more importantly, why are you tolerating it? It is almost always because you are afraid. Afraid of their anger, afraid of their disappointment, but most of all, afraid of losing them. You are afraid that if you set a boundary, they will leave. And here is the profound, liberating truth. If they leave because you have honored yourself with a boundary, then their departure is a gift. It means they were never capable of meeting you in the space of conscious love you are calling in. Their leaving creates the sacred space for the person who is an energetic match for your newfound self-worth to enter your life. Your practical application is to identify one boundary you need to set in your life right now. It doesn't have to be a big one. It could be as simple as, I am not available to answer text messages after 10 p.m. or I'm not available for conversations where I am being criticized or blamed. Write it down. Feel the truth of it in your body. Practice saying it out loud, calmly and confidently. You are not asking for permission. You are making a declaration of your own energetic truth. This is a radical act of self-love. It is you telling the universe and yourself that you are worthy of peace. You are worthy of respect. You are worthy of a love that feels like a sanctuary, not a storm. When you start embodying this truth, the need to chase will simply fall away. You will no longer be drawn to what hurts you because you will have finally remembered that you deserve to feel good. You will have chosen the sunlit shore, not because someone led you there, but because you discovered the sun was inside you all along. The journey from chasing what hurts to attracting what heals is ultimately a journey of returning to the self. It is about realizing that the love, validation, and security you have been desperately seeking from another person can only truly be found within. The universe has been using this painful dynamic not as a punishment, but as a divine curriculum, a sacred assignment designed to guide you back to the temple of your own heart. Every moment of anxiety, every tear of heartbreak, every sleepless night has been a knock on the door of your own soul, asking you to please, finally, turn the key and come home. Kale's conversation with Alara was a turning point. As he predicted, she was unable to meet his new boundary. The dynamic they had was built on the foundation of his wounded masculine and her wounded feminine. When he shifted his energy, the foundation crumbled. There were a few more attempts from her to pull him back into the chaos, a few seductive texts, a few dramatic apologies, but the spell was broken. Kale could see the dance for what it was, and he no longer wanted to participate. The end of their relationship was not a dramatic explosion, but a quiet, sad fizzle. There was grief, of course. He was grieving the dream of who he thought she could be, the potential he had projected onto her. But beneath the grief, there was a profound sense of peace. He had not been abandoned. He had chosen himself. In the months that followed, Kale poured his energy not into chasing a woman, but into building his own life. He poured it into the architecture of his own soul. He committed to his emotional alchemy practice. He sat with his loneliness, not as a void to be filled, but as a sacred space for self-discovery. He reconnected with his passions. He spent hours in his studio, not just designing buildings for clients, but sketching his own dream home, a space that was a physical manifestation of the inner sanctuary he was building. He spent weekends hiking in the mountains, feeling the solid earth beneath his feet, connecting with the steadfast, present energy of the healthy masculine in nature. He was filling his own cup, so full that it began to overflow. He wasn't working on himself so that he could attract a partner. This is a subtle but important distinction. He was doing the work for its own sake, for the joy and peace it brought him. He was falling in love with his own life. He was becoming the person he had always wanted to be. His energy field radiated this newfound wholeness. He was no longer broadcasting the frequency of neediness and unworthiness. He was broadcasting a frequency of self-love, purpose, and inner peace. And then one ordinary Tuesday afternoon it happened. He was at a local coffee shop, sketching in his notebook, completely absorbed in his own world. A woman at the next table gently interrupted him. "I'm sorry to bother you," she said, her voice warm and clear, "but the energy you have is so calm, it's beautiful." Her name was Lena. She was a landscape designer. They started talking about design, about nature, about energy. The conversation flowed with an ease Cale had never experienced. There was no game playing, no push and pull. There was just a simple, authentic connection, a meeting of two whole people. This is what happens when you stop chasing. You create the space for what is meant for you to find you. Love that is born from a place of wholeness feels entirely different from love that is born from a place of lack. It is not a frantic, anxious high. It is a deep, peaceful resonance. It is a sense of coming home, not to a person who completes you, but to a person who recognizes and reflects the wholeness you have already cultivated within yourself. This is the sacred connection that is your birthright. It is the kind of love that supports your spiritual growth journey, that honors your mindful intimacy, and that celebrates the divine masculine and feminine dance in its most beautiful, harmonious form. So, as we bring our time together to a close, I want you to hold this vision for yourself. The journey out of the pattern of chasing what hurts is not about finding the right person. It is about becoming the right person. It is about having the courage to turn inward, to face your wounds, to do the sacred work of emotional alchemy, and to build an unshakable foundation of self-worth. It is about becoming your own sanctuary. Your final application, your takeaway from our time together, is to make a sacred commitment to yourself. Take a piece of paper and write a vow to stop abandoning yourself, a vow to turn towards your feelings with compassion, a vow to honor yourself with boundaries, a vow to fill your own cup first. Put it somewhere you will see it every day. Let it be a reminder that your primary relationship is the one you have with yourself. Nurture that relationship. Treat yourself with the same tenderness and devotion you have been so freely giving to those who have not been able to receive it. The path of the awakened heart is not always easy, but it is the only path that leads to true and lasting love. The energy of love that you seek is already within you. Your journey is simply to remove the blocks you have built against it. The pain was the catalyst. The chase was the classroom. Now, it is time to graduate. It is time to transform your energy. It is time to claim the inner peace and power that has been waiting for you all along. You are not destined to chase what hurts you. You are destined for a soul-level love, a sacred connection that mirrors the beautiful, whole, and worthy being that you already are. Believe in that, and from that belief, create your new reality. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the heart of spiritual psychology and conscious relationships. If this resonated with you, if you felt a stirring of truth in your soul, please share your thoughts in the comments below. What was your biggest takeaway? What is one step you will take today to stop the chase and come home to yourself? Your story is a vital part of this community, and your vulnerability can be the spark of recognition that helps someone else on their path. Let's continue to support each other as we walk this path of healing through awareness. Remember to subscribe and join our community of still minds and strong spirits as we continue to explore the deepest truths of love, energy, and the human heart. And never forget, the love you are searching for is not out there. It is in you. Your only job is to let it shine.